My fellow planet men, it's time we have a talk. There's a message that I feel some of you may need to hear. Now, if you're quietly enjoying Planetside, playing with your community, playing with your friends, or even just a solo player contentedly banging out achievements while listening to music or podcasts, don't let me stop you from doing that. Please continue to enjoy Planetside 2. For the rest of you, for those of you who are engaging in the community conversation around the game, and especially about its population, I want to share this message. It's time to stop worrying about Planetside 2's population. And I'll tell you why. Planetside 2 is entering its second decade. It's been alive for more than 10 years. I think we should put that into some perspective. It's a somewhat remarkable achievement. You may not believe it, but there have been periods in Planetside's history where its future was very much uncertain. And there have been momentous things that have happened that have saved the game, put it into the black, and made it possible for it to continue in a sustainable fashion. Look at its predecessor, Planetside 1, canned a few years ago. It wasn't worth the cost of keeping the servers running. Planetside 2 still is. And that's something I think we should all be quite grateful for. And that's for one simple reason. No matter what feedback we give, no matter what decisions the development team makes, Planetside 2 will die. I can assure you of this. In fact, it's likely that most of you hearing this message will outlive the game and have to live in a world without Planetside 2 and probably without even Planetside 3. Now, I want you to stop and ask yourself, if you can, if Planetside 2 went away today, what would it leave behind? What's the shape of the void in your life that quitting Planetside 2 would leave? Is it about connecting with people? Is it about getting out aggression? Is it about skill mastery? Is it about pursuit? If you ask yourself these questions, I'm sure you can find lots of ways to explore all of these things without playing our favorite video game, Planetside 2. Now, I love Planetside. I will never stop playing it. I've been here since the beta of Planetside 1, and even though I've never been a daily Planetside player, I do return for 2 to 4 months every single year and have a great damned time. Right now, at the end of January 2023, I'm in the middle of one of those returns and I'm having a lot of fun as my aim slowly returns and my brain slowly remembers how the heck to position and not get flanked and essentially play like less of an idiot. If you want to see that, by the way, check out my nightly streams here on YouTube. But what I want to cultivate, if I can, is this: a sense of gratitude for what we have for while it's here. Because as I said, Planetside 2 will die, and between here and there, it will be less and less and less over time. A miracle could occur. It's possible that something happens, some major change, some extreme pivot, or some change in the market that makes people turn their eyes back to Planetside 2. It's not impossible, it's happened. But I'm here to tell you that that is exceptionally unlikely to occur. In fact, in my opinion, Planetside 2, despite all of our wishes for it to grow, for it to find more people, for it to attract more people, for it to turn off fewer people, I think it's found its niche. I think the people who are here are the people who will be here. And although a lot of you see that in a negative sense, I want to see if I can try to encourage you to see it in a different way. Um, because this isn't my first exposure to an online first person shooter community. For me, my very first was a Half-Life mod called Team Fortress Classic that came out in 1999, based on the original Team Fortress and the predecessor to Team Fortress 2, the game with all the hats. Now, Team Fortress Classic was a team-based capture the flag game, round-based lobby shooter, and it had all the trappings of, a late 90s first-person shooter. The game itself wasn't remarkable. What for me made it remarkable was its community, the message boards, the IRC chat, We would organize these community leagues, come together, and fight each other every single week in league ladders and tournaments and all that good stuff. I myself ran a clan that was around long enough to play about 250 competitive matches in one league format or another. And when it was time to close the door on that story, it was painful and I was sad. But I did try to move on, even though in many ways perhaps I failed. Otherwise, perhaps I wouldn't be here today. In any case, I digress. I bring up the example of Team Fortress Classic not because of my personal experience with it, but because this was a game that had a few thousand active players in the early 2000s playing the game seriously. And today, in 2023, there are still a few handfuls of people playing this game. Every single night, there are Team Fortress Classic pickups happening between a bunch of people I've known for 20 plus years. These cores of people who are highly attracted to these games take a long time to go away. As long as the Planetside 2 servers are on, there'll be people playing them. And I think it's just something we all need to worry a lot less about. And to replace that worry with a cultivation of a gratitude for what we have here in 2023 as Planetside 2 enters its second decade. Another note. One of the most popular ways I see for people to engage in Planetside 2's population numbers is to use it as a club. We'll look at a dip in the population and look at the updates that came out around that time and say, see, because the population went down, this kind of content is not good for the game. Therefore, I want my kind of content. Of course, this is used by people who want a different kind of content than supposedly caused the lull. Now, I'm not even going to get into the complexity of, market dynamics and what attracts people to return to games like PlanetSide 2. I think that as devoted community members, we have a sense that what needs to happen is a shoring up of the foundation rather than adding of new floors. Um, the truth is, a game like PlanetSide 2 has to do both. There will always be a revolving door for this game. There will always be people exiting it for the final time and entering it for the first time. And if you stop introducing feature updates like Osure, like NSOps, and things like this, then eventually that revolving door only goes one way and it accelerates the decline. That said, and this is in support of a video I saw from Kamikaze78 recently and some other commentary that I've heard, I do feel that PlanetSide 2 as a game needs a little more attention to the shoring up of its foundation. Looking back over the last few years since the escalation update, when we started getting these big bombastic features, um, which we've been so lucky to get. Very few games get a reinvestment in its development team and in its feature velocity like PlanetSide 2 saw in 2020 and 2019. But it's clear after all this time, after the dust has settled, that there are some issues that need attention, some core problems, things like spawn systems. And it's my dear hope that as 2023 progresses, we get to see more attention to that foundation. But even if we don't, we still have a lot left to enjoy here, folks. And if you're using population numbers as a club, I want you to know that you're no better than the crazies on Facebook reposting stats from Fox News and MSNBC about abortions, about immigration, about any other social topic that they have no actual control over. Don't just be a consumer of this experience. Or if you are only going to consume it, just do that. Please. Say your piece. Please do. Because Rel wants your feedback. And frankly, I think that the game and the community is a better place when we all get to say our piece. But once your piece is said, I encourage you to consider your duty done and to move along and enjoy what we have. Don't return and agitate. Don't churn. Don't get angry. Let it go, folks. If you find yourself in a state where you're stuck, feeling bad about Planetside, you need to attend to yourself and take better care of yourself in one way or another. Because Planetside 2, as great as it is not worth that. No video game is. You are worth so much more than what you bring to this game. You're a human being. As far as I'm concerned, the greatest thing ever created. Do yourself justice and don't waste your life complaining and steeping yourself in negativity and worrying about the decline of something that's going to go away for sure one day anyway. It's the second decade for crying out loud, and it's not impossible we'll get a third. So enjoy it, folks. That's my message. Take good care of yourself, please. Be good to each other if you can. And I'll see you out there on Araxis.